The knock comes right as the evening rosary ends. A woman stands at the doorway with her hands still resting on the last bead. The room smells faintly of candle wax and cooked rice. A small crucifix hangs above the table. The ceiling fan turns with a dry, uneven click. Click, click, click. Then another knock. Her son moves first, quick steps across the tile. He reaches for the lock, but she lifts her hand. Not yet. Outside, a man waits with a neat smile and a gift bag folded at the top. Bright paper, gold ribbon, too polished for the narrow hallway and dim yellow light. He says her name softly, like an old friend. Says he was just passing by. Says he brought something small. A blessing, he calls it. She opens the door only halfway. The bag rustles as he extends it. Tissue paper shifts. Something hard touches the side of the package with a dull little tap. The man keeps smiling. Her son leans forward, curious. The hallway smells like dust, rain on concrete, and somebody's strong cologne drifting in from the stairs. She looks at the gift, then at the crucifix on the wall behind her. For a second, no one moves. Because sometimes what enters your home does not arrive with a threat. Sometimes it arrives smiling. And the most dangerous things do not always ask to be let in, like enemies. Sometimes they come wrapped like blessings. Most people think a gift is always a good thing. If someone gives you something, you receive it. You smile. You say thank you. You don't question it. That's what we were taught. That's what feels right. A gift means kindness. A gift means favor. A gift means blessing. But that's not what actually happened in Scripture. Not everything that came into people's hands brought life. Some things brought weight. Some brought consequences that did not show up immediately. They looked harmless at first, useful, valuable, even beautiful. But they carried something else with them. In the Old Testament, there were moments when God's people were warned not to bring certain things into their homes, not because those objects had power on their own, but because of what they were tied to, what they represented, where they came from. And still, some took them anyway, not out of rebellion, but because they didn't see the danger, because it didn't look dangerous. It looked like gain. It looked like opportunity. It looked like something they didn't want to waste. And that's where it begins. Because the enemy rarely comes offering something obviously wrong, he comes offering something that looks almost right, almost clean, almost harmless. So here's the question most people never stop to ask. What if some of the things you've accepted into your life were never meant for you to receive in the first place? There's a pattern. It runs quietly through Scripture. You don't always see it at first. It doesn't shout. It doesn't force itself into your attention. But once you notice it, you start to recognize it everywhere. Moments where something is offered, moments where someone reaches out their hand, moments that look like opportunity, and then everything shifts. Because what looks like a gift on the outside is not always a blessing on the inside. Most people miss this. They focus on what is visible, value, appearance, usefulness. But God looks deeper. He looks at the source, the intention, the spiritual weight behind what is being offered. And he gives a simple instruction: test all things, hold fast to what is good. Not everything is to be accepted. When you begin to see this pattern, it changes how you move, how you decide, what you allow into your home, your mind, your life. Because discernment is not fear, it is protection. And in the next moments, we're going to uncover this pattern step by step, through Scripture, through real situations, and through the quiet warnings many people ignore. So you can recognize what should never have a place in your life. And more importantly, have the courage to say no. The teaching is not new. It runs through the history of God's people, from the deserts of the Old Testament to the streets of the early church. Different places, different times, but the same instruction repeated again and again. Be careful what you take into your life. Picture the land of Canaan, dry wind moving across open ground, the smell of smoke from distant altars, carved figures set on hillsides, gold, wood, stone, objects shaped by human hands, but tied to worship that did not belong to God. When the Lord brought his people into that land, he did not simply tell them where to live. He told them what not to bring with them. Not everything in that land was neutral. Some things had a history, a purpose, a spiritual attachment. And God spoke clearly in Deuteronomy, do not bring those things into your house. Do not keep them. Do not treat them as harmless, because what enters your home stays. Now move forward in time. The crowded streets of Ephesus, merchants calling out, Scrolls stacked high, people carrying objects tied to magic, rituals, and hidden practices. Then something changes. Men and women begin to turn to Christ, not quietly, not halfway, publicly. And in Acts of the Apostles, there is a moment that stands still in history. People bringing their books of magic, placing them in a pile, and setting them on fire. Not storing them, not selling them, destroying them. The flames rise, the pages curl, smoke fills the air. Because they understood something many still ignore today. You cannot walk in the light while holding on to what belongs to darkness. And this is the world the Bible speaks from. Not theory, real places, real decisions, real consequences. And now, that same pattern begins to show itself more clearly. The fire is still burning. Ash lifts into the air in thin gray threads. People stand back watching, some with arms folded, some with hands still empty, as if they had just let something go. In Acts of the Apostles, this moment is brief, just a few lines. Easy to pass over if you read quickly, but slow it down. Look at what actually happened. These were not random objects. These were valuable items. Scrolls carefully written, collected over time, some of them expensive, some of them tied to identity, who they were, what they practiced, what they believed before Christ. And yet, they brought them out, not hidden, not negotiated, out in the open. The fire cracks. Paper tightens, then folds in on itself. Ink disappears into blackened edges. The smell, sharp, dry, final. No one tries to rescue anything, because they had already made a decision before they stepped forward. This does not belong in my life anymore. Notice something. No voice from heaven interrupts the moment. No visible sign forces their hand. No one is standing there threatening them. They choose it, which means the pattern begins here, not with fear, but with recognition. They saw something differently. What used to feel normal no longer felt safe. What used to feel valuable no longer felt worth keeping. And here is the subtle part most people miss. The danger was not in the object itself. It was in what the object kept connected. Connection to a past life. Connection to practices that no longer aligned with God. Connection that quietly remained, even if nothing was actively happening. So they cut it. Completely. No backup plan, no just in case, no keeping it for memory. Because partial obedience still leaves a door open. And that raises a quiet tension. If they had kept those things just stored away, untouched, unseen, what would have remained in their lives without them realizing it? The tent is quiet. No fire, no crowd, no public moment. Just fabric walls barely moving in the night wind. The ground packed flat from footsteps. A man kneels low, hands pressing into the dirt. He digs quickly, stops, listens, then keeps going. The metal makes a dull sound as it touches the bottom of the hole. A garment, folded tight, foreign, smooth to the touch, not like anything from his own people. And beneath it, silver, gold, heavy, hidden, covered. In Book of Joshua, the scene is almost silent. No dramatic music, no warning voice in the moment, just a choice made when no one is watching. His name is Achan. He had seen it earlier, after the fall of Jericho. The city already judged. God had given a clear instruction. Do not take anything for yourselves. Everything in that place was devoted, set apart, not to be touched. But he saw it, and something shifted. Not loudly, not suddenly. Just a thought that lingered a little too long. No one will know. It's valuable. It's just an object. So he took it. And that's how the pattern deepens. Because now it's not a group decision, not a public act. It's private, quiet, hidden. And the consequence? It doesn't fall on him immediately. The next day, the people of Israel go into battle again, confident, expecting the same outcome. But something is different. Movement slows, lines break, men fall. What should have been an easy victory turns into confusion and retreat. No one understands why. Because the object is still buried, covered, untouched since that night. And yet, its presence is enough. That's the part that unsettles everything. The object is not being used, not displayed, not worshipped, but it is kept. And what is kept remains connected. The pattern repeats, but stronger now. Not everything you take stays neutral. Some things carry consequences that don't show themselves right away. Some things don't need to be used to affect you. They only need to be allowed. So the question grows heavier. If something hidden in one tent could affect an entire community, what might still be sitting quietly in your life, shaping things you cannot explain? A high place, wind moving across stone. Dust lifts in thin spirals around worn steps carved into the mountain. The sky is wide, empty, almost too bright. A man stands there alone. No crowd, no noise, just silence and a voice. In the Gospel of Matthew, this moment comes after days of fasting. The body is weak, the ground is rough beneath his feet, and then the offer comes. Not small, not subtle. Everything, all the kingdoms of the world and their glory. The words hang in the air. No rush, no pressure, just presented. And for a moment it sounds clean. There is no theft involved, no violence, no struggle, just a transfer, a gift, immediate, complete. But then the condition, quiet, direct. If you will bow down, that's where the pattern reaches its edge. Because now it is no longer hidden. Now it is exposed. Every gift carries something behind it. Every offer comes from somewhere. Every opportunity has a voice attached to it. And here, nothing is disguised. No wrapping, no explanation. Just truth laid bare. Take that and give something in return. Worship. Not later, not gradually, now. The wind presses against him. Sand shifts underfoot. No one else is there to see the decision. And he does not hesitate. No negotiation, no delay. He answers with scripture, with clarity, with authority. Be gone. That's it. The pattern is now complete. From hidden objects to buried compromise to a direct exchange of glory for allegiance. Different forms, same core, something offered, something required. And here is the part that brings everything together. The enemy does not always tempt with evil. He often tempts with access, with increase, with things that look like advancement. But behind it, there is always a claim. So the tension tightens. If even a perfect offer can carry a hidden demand, how many things in your life have asked for more than you realized? Now step beneath the surface. Not just the events, but the meaning behind the words. In First Epistle to the Thessalonians, there is a short command. Test all things, hold fast what is good. Simple, clear, but the original language carries more weight than it seems. The word test comes from a term used for examining metals in fire. Not a quick glance, not a casual opinion. It means to prove something, to expose what is inside by pressure, by heat, by time. Gold is tested, silver is tested. Why? Because not everything that shines is pure. And then, hold fast. It doesn't mean casually keep. It means grip tightly. Hold on to something with intention after it has been proven worthy. So the structure is important. Test first, then hold. Not the other way around. But most people reverse it. They receive quickly and question later. Now consider another word the Apostle Paul uses in Epistle to the Colossians. Let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts. That word rule in Greek, it carries the image of an umpire. Someone who decides. Someone who calls what is in bounds and what is not. Peace is not just a feeling. It is a signal. It either remains or it withdraws. And when it withdraws, something has shifted. Now go deeper still. In Scripture, objects are rarely just objects. They often represent alignment, covenant, direction of the heart. An altar is not just stones. A garment is not just cloth. Gold is not just wealth. They point to something beyond themselves. So when God warns his people about what they bring into their homes, he is not reacting to material things. He is protecting spiritual alignment. Because what you allow around you begins to shape what you tolerate within you. And that is the hidden layer most people never see. Discernment is not about the object. It is about what that object is connected to. Now bring it all together. The fire and Acts of the Apostles, the hidden tent in Book of Joshua, the mountain in Gospel of Matthew. 3 moments, different places, different people, different forms, but the same pattern. Something is offered, something is allowed, something is kept. And then something is required. That's the part most people never see at the beginning, because the requirement does not always show itself immediately. Sometimes it hides. In Acts, they understood it before it took root, so they burned it. In Joshua, it stayed hidden, so it spread. In Matthew, it was revealed openly, so it was rejected. Same pattern, 3 outcomes. And here is the truth that sits underneath all of it. Not every gift is neutral. Some things carry an agreement attached to them. Not written, not spoken out loud, but real. When you accept them, you accept what comes with them. A connection, an influence, a subtle shift in direction. It may not show up the first day, or the second, but over time, it begins to shape things. Your peace feels different. Your clarity weakens. Your convictions soften. Not all at once, slowly, quietly. That is how compromise works. And that is why Scripture does not say, accept everything and be careful later. It says, test first, because discernment is not about rejecting everything. It is about recognizing what does not belong. And once you see this pattern, everything changes. You stop asking, is this good for me? And you start asking, where is this coming from? And what is it asking for in return? Maybe you felt it before. That moment when something is offered to you and everything looks right on the surface. The numbers make sense. The opportunity feels rare. The person seems sincere. And yet something inside you pauses, not loudly, just enough to make you hesitate. You brush it aside. You don't want to seem ungrateful. You don't want to overthink it. So you accept. And later, things feel different. Heavier, less clear, harder to pray, harder to rest. You can't explain it, but something shifted. This is where this message meets your life. You don't need to fear everything, but you do need to listen. God does not always shout. Sometimes he removes peace. Sometimes he places a quiet resistance in your spirit. And that is not weakness. That is protection. You are allowed to say no, without explaining everything, without justifying yourself, without feeling guilty, because not everything offered to you was sent by God, and not everything meant to bless you will ask you to compromise. So guard what enters your life. Guard what stays, because what you allow in will eventually shape who you become. And some things, no matter how they are wrapped, were never meant to be yours.